morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. What I'm about to share with you and show you in this video is arguably one of the most important concepts to understand and master as a digital marketer and advertiser. Now, this behavior model was created by the psychologist Dr. BJ Fogg, and it's a model that's all about understanding triggers and how human behavior actually happens. Those of you that are new here, my name is Nick Roddis. I'm the CEO and owner of Greyhound, which is an email marketing agency specifically working with e-commerce businesses and information product businesses. We help those businesses turn email into predictable monthly revenue. I make these videos because I want to share with you and show you tips, tricks, and tactics and how to make your ads work better and how to market your business better. Because when you do that, you by proxy get more customers, which means you get more email addresses. And it's my hope that by demonstrating I can help you by actually helping you, when it comes to you wanting to turn those emails into revenue, you'll think of nobody else but us here at Greyhound. Anyway, let's just jump straight into this. So the model looks like this. B equals M A T. Behavior equals motivation, ability, and a trigger. Now, what this means is that in order for anybody to do anything, you need to have these three things in place. There needs to be a trigger, an ability to actually perform the behavior, and there needs to be motivation to actually perform the behavior as well. If that behavior doesn't happen for whatever reason, it's because that one of these three things are missing. Now, of course, the trigger in this case is very, very easy to understand. It is simply the ad that we are putting in front of them, whether that's on Facebook or whether it's on Google. When people are scrolling or they're Googling and they see your ad, there's a trigger there, which is usually, click here or go here or learn more or shop now, those sorts of triggers. There's a call to action in place. But if we don't get that click or don't even get that conversion, then motivation or ability is lacking. If we do get that click and we do get that conversion, then we know that all of these three things were aligned. Now, as marketers, our job is always about influencing this metric here, that being human behavior. It's about getting people to perform desired actions to convert or lead to revenue. Let's look at this one layer deeper. So on the vertical axis here, we have motivation. And on the bottom axis, we have ability. Motivation starts off at low to high, and ability starts off at difficult to easy. And then there's the action line, which looks like this. Now, we need a trigger to get this behavior to happen. The triggers are going to succeed on the right-hand side of this line here and fail on the left-hand side of this line. Now, let's pretend that we are asking somebody to do something. Let's say that ability is difficult and motivation is low. That's not good. We are not going to get the desired action or the desired behavior we want. Why? Because motivation is low and it's really, really, really hard to do. But if motivation was low, but the task was easy, it is more likely to succeed. Now, if you have something which you are really highly motivated to do, but the perceived difficulty to complete that task or your ability to complete it is very difficult, you are not going to get the action that you want. If you have something which you are really highly motivated for, but the difficulty is really high as well, you're not going to get the action you want unless the ability to do that becomes easier. So for example, let's say you are really motivated to launch your ads, but you've heard you need a copywriter, a media buyer, and a social media marketer to make those ads work. You're not going to do that action. Now, our jobs as marketers, as people of influence and persuasion, is to increase ability, decrease perceived difficulty, and increase motivation. That's all we need to do as marketers and people of influence. We need to increase ability, we need to decrease perceived difficulty, and increase motivation to perform the behavior we are after. Here's a prime example of this model. Let's say you have a package coming from Amazon and you're waiting for it. You hear the doorbell ring. There's your trigger. You go to answer the door because you want the package, so the motivation is very high, and you are more inclined to open the door because opening the door is really easy to do. Behavior completed. we've got the desired action. On the flip side of this, let's say the doorbell goes, but it's your really annoying neighbor. Now, even though it's the same trigger and that trigger is there, and opening the door is easy, your motivation is rock bottom, meaning that behavior won't ever be completed. Any action that you can think of can be broken down into these steps: a trigger for the action, sufficient motivation, and sufficient perceived ability for the task to be easy. Now, you really need to think of this formula in the confines of your own business. Let's say, for example, that you are a personal injury lawyer and you're trying to get leads. A client of yours stands to win a lot of money for their case. The motivation for that person to convert and use you as a personal injury lawyer is very high. But getting in touch means there's paperwork, there's phone calls, they don't even know if they'll win the case. There's so many hoops to jump through that their perceived ability to succeed is very low. On this scale, where do you think they would be? They would be right here. Motivation is very high, but the perceived ability is incredibly difficult. Your job is to provide a trigger that influences the element of the equation which is lacking. In this case, it's ability or perceived ability. Our job here is not to increase the motivation of the prospect in this case. They are already highly motivated. Your job here is to increase their perceived level of ability and make the task look easier to complete. You essentially give them a small nudge in that direction, meaning the behavior gets completed. Your marketing in this case needs to focus on, making the process easier for your clients and talking about how you'll hold their hand every step of the way, for example, how there's a no-win, no-fee offer and how you'll handle everything after one 45-minute phone call. All of those things increase this variable, meaning it's very, very, very easy, meaning there's a higher chance that this behavior gets completed. If in your marketing, for instance, you're focusing on saying, hey, we can get you $20,000 for your claim, the prospect in this case already knows they stand to win a lot of money. Their motivation, again, is right here. They don't need extra motivation. What you need to do is help them make the task in their mind easier to complete. Let's use another example. Let's say you're doing a lead gen campaign and you want people to sign up to your email list. What do you think is the contrast here? What's the perceived difficulty of the task? It's very high. It's easy. It's over here, right at the back end of the scale. How motivated do you think people are, though, to hand over their email address and join another crappy list where they are just going to be spammed with crappy emails every couple of days? You're right, not very high at all. They don't have high motivation. So that is where they are. So in this case, perceived ability is really easy. You're just handing over an email address, but motivation is very low. We need to get them just here. It's all we need to do, a small little nudge, by increasing the variable which is lacking. In this case, motivation. We need to give them motivation to join that email list. So in this example, instead of saying, yo, give me your email address, we say, hey, give us your email and we'll send you a 25% off coupon code for your first order. So you've increased the motivation, meaning the behavior is much more likely to be accomplished. Once you've watched this video, go dive into your ads, for instance, and go look at your Google ads, your Facebook ads, whatever it may be. Look at all of your marketing material and ask yourself, are your prospects motivated? Do they understand the offer and the value that you are providing? If they do, they probably have high motivation, but think there's some level of complexity, therefore a perceived lack of ability. Maybe they think it's too expensive. That's a problem with perceived ability. That's difficult. I can't afford it, even though my motivation is very, very high to get it. It's difficult for me to financially afford this, or it's difficult for me to acquire this training or to acquire this product. Your job, again, is to offset the variable or offset the component of the behavior model that is causing that behavior not to happen, which in this case is ability. We need to make it so much more easier for this prospect to get what we are offering them. You need to make sure that your ads or your sales pages, for example, are talking about ways to increase motivation and showing them what is in it for them if motivation is lacking. or ways to make the perceived ability to do the said thing easier. So you'd need to have triggers that talk about how easy this is, see how many other people are doing this, see all of our success stories, look at our testimonials, all of that stuff. Show your prospects that if these people can do it, then so can you. Add social proof to those claims. Show people that it is easier to do than what they think. Then you have a higher chance of getting that behavior to be completed. Get the conversion, get the click, get the sale. Once we have this conversation, we can apply that analysis to influence all of our marketing, from our landing pages to our ads and to our messaging. Now, when you do this right, you'll see your click-through rates increase and your ROAS double, even triple. Anyway, I hope this was really useful and insightful to you. Something else you might find useful as well is this video right over here. Take care of yourself, move fast,